I only wrote my monologue 10 minutes ago, and now I'm going to try it out on you. Welcome, PropQuiz. Good evening and welcome to Aviation's game show. Last week, Russ Roslewski stole the game with our highest score yet, 180 points. He took home our cash prize of $500, but that wasn't enough for him. Oh no. Russ is back tonight to see if he can outdo both himself and our two other contestants tonight. Who are they? One of them used to be a person of potential, but then he decided to become a pilot. Now he's an aviation journalist with Belvoir Media Group, AvWeb, and Aviation Consumer Magazine, Mr. Paul Bertorelli. Russ's other opponent tonight is a third-generation pilot and now instructs out of Gulf Shores, Alabama. He's also been voted the PropQuiz contestant most likely to steal my job after his 29-year career as a broadcast meteorologist. It's Chris Dunn. Chris, by the way, if the weather knocks us off the air tonight and you're not the one winning at the time, I'm going to blame you. Sick of that bad weather on us.
Lots of weather questions.
Well, you already know the game. We're not going to waste any time. Let's jump right in to round one. Here's your first question. What is the standard radius from a Class C airport for Class C TRACON control? Russ.
10 nautical miles.
Not 10. Oh.
5.
It is not 5. Chris.
20 nautical miles.
Say that one more time for me. You broke up.
20. 20.
It is 20 nautical miles. Yes, sir. And you are first on the board with 5 points tonight. Chris, welcome to PropQuiz. Thank you so much for joining us. You, sir, first of all, have the best audio we've ever heard here on the game show. You got a fantastic mic, but you recently left a 29-year career on television to become a flight instructor and at your local airport. What made you do that, and are you loving it? Did it pay off for you?
Aviation is in the veins, and actually a lot of it was brought on by my high school to make sure I was here for him, and having this switch to an aviation career allowed that to happen. And back, and it's all looking forward, and I'm ready to go and loving flight instruction too.
Well, that is awesome, and we're loving having you here, so it's great all around. Let's move on to our second question, Chris. What does the acronym TRACON stand for? Oh.
Terminal radar control.
It is terminal radar control facility. It looks like the internet has given us a little bit of a delay tonight. Sorry about that, guys. But yes, terminal radar control. So, Paul Bertorelli, legend from AvWeb. Good evening. Welcome to PropQuiz, sir.
I'm a legend now. I've been upgraded.
Well, I've seen your name since I knew your name from your videos and reviews on AvWeb, before I even started working here. You are first on the board tonight with 10 points. So tell me a little bit about yourself and what got you into aviation. Chris, we knew it ran in his family. What got you into this?
Well, many years ago, I was the airport kid and hanging around the fence. And then I always wanted to fly. And when I got in the Army, they had a civil Army club there. And I learned to fly in the Army with crazy returning Vietnam helicopter pilots. And then from there, I bounced in and out of journalism and some trades, and then got into magazine publishing, and then I washed up on the shores of Belvoir Publication, became an aviation journalist. And here I am.
Well, that's fantastic. That's an awesome story, and thank you very much for your service. Let's take a look at our next question, Paul. These airplanes, nicknamed the Jug and the Warthog, they share a more official military name. What is it? Paul.
That is, the Jug is the Thunderbolt, And the Warthog is a Thunderbolt 2.
It is absolutely correct. The P-47 and the A-10 respectively, or the A-10 as it's more commonly known, the brrr. And you are in the lead tonight, Paul, with 28 points so far. Chris on the board with 5. Russ not there yet. I think he's lulling us all into a false sense of security.
I suspect a trap here.
Here I come.
You guys better look out. Well, the FAA often responds to accidents and incidents by requiring a pilot re-examination flight. What is this commonly referred to as? Paul.
Is that a 709 ride?
It is a 709 ride. Absolutely. There you are with 30 points. You're crushing it so far. Well, our next question comes to us via VHF from Christy Wong.
Okay, guys, it's V-Speeds time. Here's one that confuses a lot of pilots. Which V-speed will, during initial departure climb, result in the best climb in the shortest horizontal distance?
All right, guys, which V-speed will, during initial departure climb, result in the best climb in the shortest distance? Thanks to Christy Wong for that video. Who wants to go first? Buzz in, guys. Chris.
A VX, best angle of climb?
It is VX, absolutely. There's your 10 points, bringing you up to 50. You've halved Paul's score so far. Fantastic job. All right, let's keep going. We're punching through these pretty quickly here. Your airplane's true airspeed, here's a word problem for you. Your airplane's true airspeed is 150 knots. You're flying with a 30-knot headwind. How far are you going to travel in 5 minutes? Chris.
7.5 miles.
No, sir. Russ.
10 miles.
10 miles.
It is.
Yes.
10 nautical miles. That is correct. And just a little tidbit to help with that. You know, you're flying 150 knots. You got a 30-knot headwind, so that's reducing your rate down to 120 knots. 120 knots, that's 2 nautical miles per minute. So,
Ethan, correct me if I'm wrong, but you assured me there would be no math on this.
No, I said there'd be no math on Mondays. Today is not Monday. Today's Tuesday.
Oh, my mistake.
I'm a cheater. I've got everything right here in front of me on my prompter. I don't have to do the math. So
yeah, I couldn't reach my calculator.
I like to throw you to the dogs instead of me having.
Russ, I'm impressed.
All right. All of our contestants are on the board now. Paul with 30 points, Chris with 15, and Russ with 5. What is the call sign of the Marine helicopter that is carrying the President of the United States? Paul.
Marine 1.
It is Marine 1. No math in that one, but it does have the number 1 in it. So there you go. Bringing you up to 40 points. You've got a pretty good lead so far. Let's see if you keep that. How many jet engines power the Boeing 777? Paul.
2.
It is 2. It's amazing how far that thing can get on just 2 engines. It's a pretty cool plane. And the new one with the folding wings, although I'm sure it'll be very safe, it still kind of weirds me out when I see the promotional videos with the wings folding up on them. Well, KJFK, the John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York. It received that name in 1963, but before that, what was it called? Paul.
Idlewild.
It was Idlewild, or New York International Airport. Correct. Good answer, bringing you up to 60 points. You're crushing it, man. What is the only cloud type?
I have a question here. I have a question. Yeah. Why asks the all knows for? There's something wrong here.
You were breaking up. Say that again, Chris.
Oh, questions only Paul knows her for.
Well, we told him he's the legend. He's the legend
because
from AvWeb. So far, he's earning that.
If they're useless trivia, I'll know him.
He's fast. Paul's just fast tonight. Yeah. I can't get in time. It's amazing.
Well, Paul, this next one isn't useless trivia though. This one's a weather question. So let's see if we can throw Chris a bone here. What is the only cloud type that may be reported in terminal aerodrome forecasts? Russ.
Cumulonimbus.
Cumulonimbus is correct. or CB as it's depicted there. Chris, what happened? You're the weatherman.
Ah,
He's too fast for me.
He's too fast. Jeez. Well, Russ and Chris, you two are tied now. You two are neck and neck with each other. So you guys are going to be battling it out. But Paul's up there ahead. Yeah. Well, the angular difference between true north and magnetic north is called what? Russ.
magnetic variation.
It is magnetic variation, not to be confused with magnetic deviation, which I've heard somebody call it before. Magnetic variation. Good job. All right. Well, you are now, you're catching back up, Russ. You are now ahead of Chris by 10 points. Well, let's try and re-earn your title from last week. What type of equipment is covered under TSO C129? Russ.
GPS receivers.
It is GPS. Good answer. And that TSO, for those who don't know, it stands for Technical Standard Orders. It's a minimum performance standard for specified materials or parts and the appliances used. So absolutely, that covers GPS. Let's keep moving on, guys. We're doing really well so far. We're only 11 minutes in, but already we've got some good numbers on the board. What document must be readily visible in an airplane? Russ.
The airworthiness certificate.
It is the airworthiness certificate. Paul, you better watch out. Russ is coming for you.
Hey, I'm trying here. See, now you're asking
Russ has got some fast fingers.
Yeah, I've been practicing exercise.
Longitudinal stability. Longitudinal stability refers to an aircraft stability about which axis? Russ.
Lateral axis.
It is lateral axis. That's a tricky one. We had that question, I think, on our first episode, and we tripped everyone up with it. It is the lateral axis. I can tell you right now, I would not have gotten that. I would have said longitudinal axis. I would have fallen for it. Well, if we look at our scoreboard, Paul is just barely holding on to his lead with 50 points. Russ, last week's champion, he is catching up to him with 55, and Chris has 15. But we saw how quickly Russ has come up from behind here, so we know Chris can do so as well. So it's still anybody's game. What does the letter V stand for in the PAVE checklist? Chris.
Environment.
It is an environment, yes. A little tricky. It doesn't start with the E. It stands for the V, environment. Well, guys, that's 15 questions down and 15 left to go. Paul is in the lead with 60 points, and you get to play along from home when we come back. Hold short.
For many pilots, airspaces remain a confusing concept. These are 3D volumes of air that you have to interpret by looking at a flat sectional chart. It can be a real challenge. You need to master them, and the FAA definitely puts heavy emphasis on them for the written test. But no worries, Gold Seal makes airspaces easy to understand using stunning three-dimensional graphics. And these are the exact ones that you'll see on your knowledge test. You don't have to imagine them. Gold Seal shows them to you in awesome real-world perspective. Gold Seal is the premier online ground school. We've been doing it longer than anyone else. Come see for yourself with a free test drive at groundschool.com.
Welcome back to Prop Quiz. Before the break, Paul took the lead with 60 points as we head into the multiple choice questions. But first, we've got a new feature. If you're watching on our website, you can play along with the contestants. Just enter your name in the chat box if you haven't already, and when the countdown starts, you'll get to choose your answer, just like Russ, Paul, and Chris. At the end of the game, we'll let you know how you stacked up against our other viewers tonight. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, don't miss out. Just head on over to www.onlinegroundschool.com/propquiz to play along. Gentlemen, let's get started. Here's your first question in round 2. When Amelia Earhart made her fateful flight around the world, who was her navigator? A. Fred Gwynne, B. Fred Noonan, C. No one, or D. Fred Rogers? All right, let's see how we start this round. See if we clear the board. We're going to start with Russ. Russ, you said B, Fred Noonan. That is the correct answer, bringing you 10 points at 65, giving you a 5-point lead against Paul. Chris, you said B as well, Fred Noonan, bringing you up to 30 points. And Paul, you also said Fred Noonan, bringing you back, tying you neck and neck with Russ. All right, guys, you're kicking off round 2 with a fantastic start. Good job. Well, let's take a look at our next question. Which Lockheed engineer was largely responsible for the design of the P-38 Lightning and the SR-71 Blackbird? A, Don Johnson, B, Kelly Johnson, C, Dwayne Johnson, or D, Howard Johnson? Which Lockheed engineer was largely responsible for the P-38 and the SR-71? Russ, we're going to start with you again. You said B, Kelly Johnson. That is correct. Let's take a look now at Chris, who also said Kelly Johnson. And are we going to clear the board once again? We are, Paul, again with Kelly Johnson. Right. Good answers all across the board, but Russ is pulling out just a bit ahead. Russ with 75, Paul with 70. Barely. Chris with 35. Yep, just barely, but you're doing it. Paul, you better watch out. He may sneak out ahead of you.
I'm working on it. I'm pedaling as fast as I can.
Which of these airplanes is not powered by turbine engines? A, the Beech King Air, B, the Air Tractor 400, C, the Pilatus PC-12, or D, the Beech Queen Air? Alrighty, Russ is Johnny on the spot with that trigger. He's going to be our first reveal again because he answered first again. He answered the Beech Queen Air, which is absolutely correct. A standard Queen Air uses piston engines. So let's see, did Paul know that? He did, answering D, Beech Queen Air as well. And lastly, let's train over to Chris, who also said D. He's got these answers. Let's see if he can trick Russ and Paul into, not answering as quickly. Let Chris get an edge up here. I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think Russ is in this to win this. The Boeing B-17 is arguably... all good. You're doing a good job so far, just like last week, excuse me. The Boeing B-17 is arguably the best recognized bomber of World War II. What was it commonly known as? A, the Destroyer, B, the Liberator, C, the Flying Fortress, or D, the Lancaster? What is the B-17 most recognizably known as? Russ, you said C, the Flying Fortress. You are correct. Bringing it up to 95 points. I think you're going to be hearing that special jingle again in a minute. Chris, you also said C.
I hope so.
Well, there you go. C, Chris, bringing you up to 45 points. You're catching up to Paul here. Paul, who, by the way, also answered C, the Flying Fortress. We are just, this round, I don't think I've seen this before, where all of our contestants so far, we're already a good way into round 2. All of our contestants have answered every question right this round. This is interesting. Which NASA astronaut flew to the moon twice but never set foot on it? A, Ted Stryker, B, Jim Lovell, C, Alan Shepard, or D, Chuck Yeager? All right, which astronaut flew to the moon twice but never actually got to set foot on it? Russ, you said B, Jim Lovell. You are right. And there's that special jingle, bringing it up to 105 points. You got triple-digit score now. You're the first one this evening. Paul, you said B, Jim Lovell as well. You are right. 85 points, keeping you just ahead of Chris here. And Chris, you said B, Jim Lovell as well. Gosh, you guys really know your stuff. Where was this during round 1? Russ, you're obviously Johnny on the spot with that button.
Get lucky sometimes, I guess.
Oh, this is more than luck, man. An aviation weather report.
Luck and skill and knowledge.
I guess so. An aviation weather reports, Chris, I'm looking at you here. What is the abbreviation for MIST? A, GR, B, BR, C, SU, or D, am I? And don't ask me to read that 5 times fast. Paul, you beat Russ to the trigger this time. We're going to start with you. Paul, you said B, BR, and you are absolutely correct. There's 95 points. Look at you. You're about to hit 100 points yourself. You're really catching up to Russ here. Chris, you said B, BR as well. You're up to 55 points. And I'm sorry, that was Russ. Excuse me. And now, Chris, you said BR as well. I may get your names confused, but that's only because, y'all are all getting all the answers right here. You're all the same color on my screen. Makes it difficult to read sometimes. You guys are killing it. All right. This comic strip, Aviator, created by Milton Caniff, dazzled us up into the 1980s. What was his name? A, Steve Canyon, B, Sam Lyons, C, Flash Gordon, or D, Alfred E. Newman? All right, we're back to Russ answering first. Russ, you said A, Steve Canyon, and you were right. We get up to 120 points. Hey, 180 is your score to beat, man. 180, and you can get there. We've got enough questions left for you to do it.
I'm working on it.
All right, Chris, you said A, Steve Canyon. You are right. 60 points. And lastly, Paul, you said A, Steve Canyon as well. And there's your own jingle, breaking 100 points, sir. Fantastic job.
I didn't hear the jingle.
Compete against these fast fingers.
Well, let's continue. This maneuver, performed by Spencer Suderman, is a real barf inducer for the uninitiated. What is the maneuver called? A, the Immelman, B, the half Cuban 8, C, Lomshavak, or D, the split S? That Lomshavak is such a weird word. My boss called me several times between yesterday and today to just randomly quiz me on how to pronounce it. So, Paul, you answered Lomshavak. Is that the right answer? It is. There you go. C is the right answer, Lomshavak. Chris, you said D. It is not. I'm sorry. The first wrong answer of this round. Russ, you said C, Lomshavak. You are right as well. 125 points, but don't let yourself slip here. Paul is catching up to you. But Chris, hang on just a minute. You were the weatherman. You're the one with radar. You should be seeing all of this coming.
It must be the internet speed. They beat others and they do the high set, and they're beating me to the punch every time, except for obviously the one where I did it wrong.
Yeah. Well, no, it does sound like you might be having some internet trouble tonight, and we're sorry about that, unfortunately, with COVID. That's just kind of the name of the game of all of us having to run this out of our homes, but we do the best we can. Now, let's see who does the best they can with this next question. Who was the first American woman to fly in space? A, Valentina Tereshkova, B, Sally Ride, C, Catherine Janeway, or D, Jodi Arias? All right, Russ, you answered first again. You said B, Sally Ride, and you are correct. Bringing up 135 points, man. Chris, you said B, Sally Ride as well. You are up to 65 points. And lastly, Mr. Bertorelli, you said Sally Ride as well. Take a look at our scoreboard. Russ is still in the lead with 135 points. Paul is barely trailing behind there with 115. He's catching up, and Chris has 65 points. Let's keep going, guys. You guys are doing fantastic so far. Y'all are fun contestants to have on. What is the longitude in degrees at the prime meridian? A, negative 180, B, 90, C, 0, or D, 180? Russ, you are first on that button again, man, and you said C, 0. You are correct. And I'm hoping we clear the board again, which we seem to be doing. We've only had one wrong answer this entire round. It's unheard of, and it's fantastic. These are some awesome pilots with us tonight. Paul, you said C0 as well, bringing you up to 120 points with that correct answer. And Chris, you said C0, 70 points for you. And Chris, you may still hear your own 100-point jingle tonight. You're getting there. In tabular wins aloft report. Almost. Well, here's another weather one for you. In a tabular winds aloft report, above what altitude are all temperatures assumed to be negative? A, 30,000 feet, B, 24,000 feet, C, 18,000 feet, or D, 29,000 feet? Alrighty, we gave the monkey the wrong size wrench on that. Sorry about that, but we're going to start our reveal with Paul, who buzzed in first this time. Paul, you said C. That is not right. No, I'm sorry. It is not C. Russ, you said B, and you were right with 24,000 feet. At what point all temperatures are assumed to be negative. And Chris, you said B as well, 24,000 feet. You're absolutely correct. Of course, in this case, it's assumed to be negative Celsius, not Fahrenheit, because on our weather reports in aviation, Celsius is the assumed format for our weather. Let's continue on to our next question. We're winding down now. There's not much time left in tonight's episode of Prop Quiz. Unless otherwise authorized, what is the maximum indicated airspeed for a Part 91 aircraft below 10,000 feet MSL? A, 300 knots indicated, B, 200 knots indicated, C, 288 knots indicated, or D, 250 knots indicated. You have 10 seconds. All right, what is that maximum indicated airspeed? Russ, you said D, 250 knots, and you are right.
All right.
That is correct. 160 points to you. I think you're going to make it to beat your score from last week. Chris, you said D, 250 as well. And Paul, you said D as well. Another one where we just completely cleared the board. Chris, I'm sorry, man. Russ and Paul, they are just not leaving you any room to catch up. You know these answers, but they are just not giving you the room to get those 10 points. The McDonnell Douglas F-4 was flown by the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps. What was it called? A, the Thunder Chief, B, the Corsair, C, the Phantom, or D, the Starfighter? Chris, you got in first. There you go. You got in first.
No
and
way.
You answered the correct answer. C, Phantom. There you go. There's 10 points for you, bringing it up to 90 points. You are going to get your own jingle, man. I'm sure of it. Russ, you said C, Phantom as well, bringing it up to 165 points. And lastly, Paul, you also answered Phantom, the F-4 Phantom. Absolutely correct. Great job, you guys. And great job, Chris. Welcome back to the 10 Points Club. Let's see if you can replicate that one more time, get you across that 100 points threshold. Prior to 1993, what was the U.S. airspace, now known as Class B, called? A, CTR, B, BHP, C, TCA, or D, ARSA? All right, prior to 93, what was Class B called? This is another question we've used before, so hopefully you all get it right. Chris, you did get in again at 10 points, and you got it right as well. There is your jingle, Mr. Dunn.
Wow.
There is your jingle. TCA is what Class B used to be called. Paul knew that as well.
Too.
Absolutely, and Paul, you knew that as well, answering C for TCA. And Russ, you also answered C. Of course, it wasn't BHP. That's brake horsepower. And CTR stands for something in the aviation world, but being a techie myself, I know that is click-through rate for advertising. So the right answer here was TCA. I tried to get Russ to change that last one to ARS instead of ARSA because college student humor, I thought that was funnier. All right, guys, here is our last question of Prop Quiz tonight. all of our contestants on the board with 100 points or greater. One of the best games we've had in PropQuiz so far, but certainly probably not the best to come. A pilot flying under basic med may not what? A, fly at night, B, fly in Class A airspace, C, carry passengers, or D, fly under IFR. All right, Russ, once again, for our last question tonight, you answered first and you answered B, fly in Class A airspace, and you are right. 180 points is your final score in tonight's game, matching your score from last week. Good job, Chris. You said B, fly in Class A airspace as well, bringing you up to 105 points as your final score. And Paul, you also answered Class A airspace, 140 points, your final answer. And guys, that means with 180 points, Russ, once again, you've won PropQuiz. Congratulations. You're going to be going home with our $500 cash prize. Fantastic job, man. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel great. I tell you, Paul, you were so fast in that first round. I just couldn't get in. I don't know what you were doing.
Well,
it was amazing.
How did you get faster? I mean, I thought I was going at the same speed in the second round, but you were beating me every time.
Maybe I'd warmed up by then. I don't know.
Well, and Paul, you're good for you as well. You're going home with our $200 second place cash prize. Where are you going? You going to Disney World? What are you doing?
I stay the hell away from Disney World.
I don't blame you.
I'm going skydiving.
You're going skydiving. Well, hey, you're going to use that for skydiving. Brian Turner used his to help pay for his annual. And Chris, you did a fantastic job as well. I'm not sure that we've had any episodes yet where all three of our contestants broke 100 points. So fantastic job, you guys. Thank you both, or thank you all so much for coming on. Well, that is all the time we have tonight, everyone. A big congratulations again to our winner, Russ Roslewski, with 180 points. Huge thanks again to Paul Bertorelli and Chris Dunn. Our thanks also to Christy Wong and Spencer Suderman. Catch our next episode, September 15th. I'm Ethan Berg. Thanks for watching. Good night.